we help those people still make money just by sharing their wisdom? Yeah, I also have the community platform that helps anyone that is involved with permaculture, biodynamics, anything to do with self-sufficient living.
Hello and welcome to the Permaculture Vine Podcast, where we talk about permaculture, education, careers and business. I'm your host, Cormac Harkin, and today we have Hayley Weatherburn with us. Welcome, Hayley.
Hello.
Thanks very much for joining us. Would you just give the audience a quick, short introduction, just who you are, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me. I'm Hayley. I am the CEO and founder of Thriving with Nature, and I live in Bali, Indonesia, here on my property. And yeah, I also have the community platform that helps anyone that is involved with permaculture, biodynamics, anything to do with self-sufficient living, build courses and create a course library inside there. So it's available for people to join the community and also not only learn from each other, but also earn a self-sufficient sort of income as well online, teaching the things that I think everyone in this world should know.
Yeah, great stuff. I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. So do you want to just start at how did you get started and where did you first hear the term permaculture?
Yeah, sure. Permaculture, when did I first hear about it? I first got excited about growing food. There was back in the day, I was in my late sort of early 30s, and I was making an avocado sandwich, and I picked up the avocado seed, and I looked at the seed, and I had this out of body experience of like, if I plant this seed and grow an avocado tree, I can have hundreds of avocados. And then those avocados can grow hundreds of avocados. Why do we go to work when we have abundance in our hand like this in a seed? And so that sort of sparked an out-of-body bit of an experience. I just went straight to a community garden, tried to grow anything. It was an epic fail. But it was about 10 years later, I came across the documentary Insight. What's it called? I have to remember the documentary name, but it was about permaculture, and it had permaculture, urban permaculture. And I was like, I need to do that. Those are the people that I need to learn from. And at the time, there was a permaculture course about a month later here in Bali in Kulku Farm. And so I signed up, and the rest was history. I was like, oh my God, I found my people. People see the world the way I see it. And so that's sort of where it all started. And that, of course, led to going down the rabbit hole of doing other types of courses and all sorts of things.
So tell us all about them course. Then was it a PDC you done in Bali, or was it a full 70
Yeah, it was
hour?
a PDC in 2017, I believe, with Nick Rattar and Oren Hardy. So at the Kulku Farm here, which is sort of next to the Green School. Green School is quite famous in Bali. And John Hardy, who created the Green School, his son Oren created Kulku Farm with his wife, and they did a PDC back then. And so Nick Rattar from Milkwood, he used to live with David Holmgren. So I got to teach, one person away from the main people. I know there's lots of things about Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, but yeah, that was very, very cool. And so it was just 2 weeks of, I felt like I was in a fairyland. I had to still work on the side. So at nighttime I had to do other work, but it was just, I was in heaven, understanding the systems of nature and the flow. And, I'm talking to the soul. Anyone that's listening to this has already got the permaculture bug.
You're preaching to the converted.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how did you find that 2-week course then? How did it change your outlook?
My world opened up. So in my other life, I'm online systems and processes. So I've worked online helping businesses create all sorts of things, international businesses. And so I have always been passionate. I've always been sort of the mechanic of the online world, the mechanical mind. And then the systems and processes, and then when I saw the way that permaculture showed or revealed the systems of nature, it was just my love. I grew up on Christmas Island, which is south of Java, in the Indian Ocean. And we lived in the rainforest. And that's why I believe I live in Bali now, because I'm just so used to the rainforest. And I had always had this affinity with nature. And so, to see that there was a systems and processes of nature, I was excited. That's what excited me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of engineers in permaculture as well. I think that's sort of fits under that systems and processes approach.
Exactly.
So after your PDC, then what did you do? Did you try and get away from your normal job, or did you start thinking about it, or you said you take courses
I
then?
was chomping at the bit. I didn't have any land. I'd always had pot plants. Like I always had a little avocado tree growing in a pot plant. And I even grew, after that PDC, I remember started growing a pineapple in a pot plant. And, I just had pot plants. I didn't really have a garden at the time. But after that course, I got introduced to syntropic agroforestry inside that PDC course. And so I flew to Malaysia to get taught by Namaste Messerschmidt, who is one of the students of Ernst Gut, the founder of syntropic agroforestry. And so I went to Malaysia for a 2-part course for the introduction and then the design part of that. And again, I was just absolutely in awe and in love of the systems of the forest kind of thing. And so that happened. And then the next thing was like soil advocacy training with Kiss the Ground. So that was online. That was it was right before the pandemic. It was in 2019 was when I did that. And then I started, that's when I got introduced to Dr. Elaine Ingham, the Soil Food Web. And so I started the foundation course. I haven't finished that as yet, but it's just, just fallen in love with soil. Like to me, soil is where it all begins. And so those are the courses. And just recently I did a biodynamics course. So we're always learning. I think once your mind is open to the possibilities of understanding nature, it's just it's like, wow, there's so much I don't know.
Yeah, my problem's often picking what to do.
Exactly.
What you end up bouncing around.
Exactly.
Especially if you like
Yeah.
shiny objects, Sandra.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's a good run of courses there.
Mm.
And so did you start thinking about integrating your work life
So
and permaculture life?
yeah, so it's funny. Back in 2017 was when I first started the idea of thriving with nature. I didn't know what that was going to be, but I was just like, those 3 words are the essence of who or what I want to do. What that looks like, I don't know yet. And so it wasn't until I was living in a courtyard when COVID hit. Like I had a little house and I had a cement courtyard when COVID hit. And when everyone else was running out and getting toilet paper, I was like, this is it. This is my time. And I went and bought wood and I built raised beds. I got pots and went and bought a whole heap of seeds. And I just started growing food in the back of my little courtyard there. And you can see that on YouTube. I started filming there on YouTube about thriving with nature and the things that I was learning and all those kind of things. And then it was August 2020 when I ended up coming up near here. There's an eco lodge just up here. And I came here. I'd been there once before and I fell in love with it. And I came back and I had 2 separate friends say, you look like you're home. And I'm like, I feel like I'm home. So that was August. September, I moved up here for a month, just stayed because the eco lodge, because it was 2020, there was no tourists in Bali. It was, sad but blissful for those people that got to stay in Bali without tourists. It was amazing. So I managed to get a good deal and stay for a month at the eco lodge just to see if this was the place. And then that was September. October I moved up here, and December I signed up on land. And so it was just in 2020. It was I think most of us have, especially those who are just like, we need to grow food, we need to do that. This is a no-brainer. I think 2020 was definitely a catalyst for a lot of people, and that certainly was my story. And so finally I was like, oh my gosh, I have a place to start to learn. And I didn't really do anything for the first 8 months because I had the privilege. One of the things you learn in permaculture is slow and steady. And if you can, look at the land for 12 months before you do anything, before you even plan. And so I took that. It took me 8 months. I built a sort of a bamboo observation deck, if you will, just to go up, and I'd sit up here and I'd watch the squirrels on the trees. I'd watch where the sun was, where was the rain going, what was the rain doing when it was happening. So I started to just observe, which is my favorite principle out of all of them. In the principles, and I just started to observe and slowly interact, because I didn't want to come and just wipe things out. I did the access first to the land, because my land is sort of in the middle of a bigger part of land, which I also have, but where I wanted to start working on. And then it was it. And then there's a video, one of my top videos actually is, you know, the permaculture book by, is it Ariana, not Ariana Grande, but there's a book that's really good, and I'll have to give it to you if I can't remember in the names, but it's like a step-by-step process of what to do when you're just planning the land, right? And so I use that book and I start measuring where the trees are and where the, you know, how we get taught there. And so that's when I started to measure out the land and see what it is that I wanted to do and start to think. And then I remember writing on separate pieces of paper the different things I wanted: a compost, a veggie garden, and like, joining them together to make sure that they interact, and thinking about where the sun is and all of those kind of things. And it took a little moment of courage to finally clear some of the land to create the veggie garden where I wanted it. Do I think it was the best place now? I'm like, oh, there's other things that I didn't know back then that I could have changed. But I've been going slow and steady enough that I can, my plan has slightly adjusted and changed with that. But yeah, so that's when I started to implement everything. Sometimes I wonder if I'm still implementing each of the systems well, but then I have a look around and I'm like, oh, you're using the edges right here, and all of those kind of things.
Yeah, and it is a lifelong thing as well. Like you're never ever going to get. I don't think anybody gets here and goes, right, that's me finished, and put the feet up.
That's
like,
never gonna happen.
Because you learn things. So starting a YouTube channel, what inspired you to do that and share?
Oh, I know, right? It's a bit crazy. I love talking about nature and sharing, and I just, again, talking to those, what is it? Preaching to those who are preaching to the converted. I don't know the saying. I just wish, like, I've got friends that are afraid of nature, yet I've had a shower with a scorpion here. Like, there's, snakes and slugs and spiders in my cabin all the time, and I just talk to them. Like, I'm not afraid of them. And because they all have some purpose. And so I think the YouTube channel was a bit of accountability, and you learn when you teach something, right? Yes, you go away and learn it, but if you start teaching people, you learn it more. I'm sure there's a famous quote that says that, but I can't think of it right now. And so part of me teaching it was just sharing my journey. And, I did interview Dr. Elaine Ingham, Dan Kittredge, a few of the teachers from Kiss the Ground. And I just wanted to, because it was just like, let me share the journey of learning what I'm learning. And I actually ended up documenting the whole process of deciding whether or not to get this land, looking for the land. There's lots of tears and things on, this whole process, because I'm on my own doing this. And so, I wanted to journal the whole thing, because the vision that I have of where I want to get this to, I'm like, it's going to be a long journey, and you're going to forget all these pieces along the way. So why not share that as you go? And I'm actually in the process of coming back. I haven't been doing the vlogs as much. I hadn't done them for a year because I started to feel like I wasn't adding value to people's lives, so I stopped. But now it's starting to come. Things are starting to shift a bit more, and I'm ready to start sharing the journey again. So, but that's it. It's just, I think the more I can shine a light on the fact that thriving with nature is about living a modern life that thrives with her. I think we can honestly have a planet, you know, following the permaculture philosophy, we can have a modern planet and have her thriving. Like these aren't these aren't or, it's and. You can have a beautiful life. And so I just want to be that big cheerleader that's marching towards a future that I honestly see as possible and helping highlight that for others, whether you're already passionate about nature or whether you want more. If I can encourage some of those people that like, oh, I could grow some herbs in a pot plant. Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Like if I can encourage, because it's to me, to me, a herb garden in a pot plant is like the gateway drug to becoming permaculture, right? I always had a seed. I always had an avocado seed. I was always fascinated just watching it grow and change. And so I'm just like, if it's, you know, it's like the drug dealer of permaculture, like, come and grow a pot plant. We know what's going to happen.
I definitely agree. And I would say as well, start with a minimal design, minimal viable product. If you like, just start small. And then you add you have one hair pot, and then you two, and then three, and then I'll have a salad garden, and then it does grow from there. It did for me. I mean,
Well, that's how I can explain it happened to me. You know, that I remember growing my first cucumber, just like, oh my God, putting it in my salad. And I was like, oh my God, this cucumber is amazing. And then it led to the point where I was like, I grew this entire bowl of salad, and I cried that day because I was just like, and then I can go out there tomorrow and pick everything again because it's all there, and there's another free salad. Like when you realize the empowerment you get from supplying yourself with your own food, and the food tastes that much better and more highly nutritious. Yeah, it's just amazing.
yeah. Well, for me, it was lettuce. Was a big influence because I got out in the back picking some cotton common again lettuce, rinsing it, and within a minute you're eating it, and
Yes.
and the flavor and the texture. It's not. I can't eat store bought lettuce anymore. It's just not
No,
happening. It's like eating
ex-
cardboard. After you grow your own.
exactly. It's just, I mean, everyone knows. I have a story of when I was a kid. We had Italians next door and they grew tomatoes. And at kids, we used to go and eat them like apples, you know? It was just, they were just so flavorsome and just delicious. And that's to nutrition, because taste equals nutrition, right? So the higher flavorful it is, the higher nutritious it is for us. So yeah, learning all of that. I'm down the rabbit hole of that. That's why I'm so passionate about soil, because it's all in the soil of how to make sure that our I love food, and to have good food, you need to have good produce. To have good produce, you need to understand the soil, the microbes and the minerals and all that kind of stuff. So I'm down that rabbit hole because I'm just like, if I can help people get our minerals and nutrients back into the soil, then yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list. It's probably a couple of years away. The amount I have to do. Just finally on the YouTube channel, I have often thought, oh, I need to be. Was my daughter said to me, Daddy, you just go on and talk about permaculture. You don't actually show anybody doing it. I was like, oh, sugar, maybe I should start. But it's in getting started in that content creation for me. I'm sort of stuck at that finding a system and I
Mm,
can make it efficient because I think I have a system down for creating the podcast. I have it down to a couple of hours.
yes.
So it's not too taxing and then I enjoy it, but it's creating the content. Any advice for someone who's looking to start creating content?
I think I think the first thing, I've got a few tips that I give a few of my clients is the first thing is just start. And you're going to cringe, but save those videos one day because you'll have a good giggle later. But it's this the one thing I can talk to you about is it's not about you. It's like, how do I add value to my audience? how do I, that's why I stopped for a while, because I was like, I'm just doing it weekly because I said I'd do it weekly. I'm not doing it weekly because I'm adding value to their lives. And so, you know, and we forget, once you've done that many courses, you forget that the simple part of how do I put a seed in the soil is actually a big deal for someone. Like, how do I plant a lettuce seed? And like, what does a lettuce seed look like? And, you know, all those things. And so it's just like, okay, what's the value that's going to get behind this? And it could just be entertainment. You could have, you just want to share the philosophy and the history and that, or it could be educational. So it's like, these are the 5 steps to plant a lettuce seed. And so, but think about the value you're going to provide. And then when you're looking at the camera, forget how you look and your hair and all these kind of things. Just think of your most favorite client that you want to help, and pretend that you're sending this video to them to help them. And as soon as you flip from thinking about, oh my God, how do I look? And then you go, oh, I'm just going to do this video and I'm going to send it to Fred. It's like, hey, Fred, so the first steps are, and all of a sudden you don't care how you look and all this. You're just like, I need to get this information to Fred. And so those are sort of the secrets to starting, is to think about the value that you're providing, and then think about that person when you're recording.
Right. I need to just get on and do it. But
That's it.
uh,
And there's so many cringe videos. Like, I go back and look at some of my very first videos and it's just like, oh dear. But you know, you've got to start somewhere, and you'll know, you're like, oh, that wasn't that great. I'm going through the process of rescripting. I have a new idea of what I want to do for this season, because it's one of the things in this journey of self-sufficiency. There's a lot going on, but also nothing going on at the same time. Like, you know, there's this project's happening, but nothing happens for like 10 days in that project. And this project's happening and you don't see anything. So trying to make that interesting for not just only people who are interested in becoming self-sufficient or growing food, making it my own sort of flavor. And so that comes with practice. I've already done, I don't know how many hundreds of videos, but I'm trying to take it to the next level and making it entertaining as well.
great stuff. And do you do permaculture consultancy or design work?
No. It's funny. It's funny. I was talking to you before about the system. I love the systems of permaculture, but it's funny. I'm not interested in creating the designs for others. Where I'm getting excited, I get excited, it is about helping people get their wisdom out of them and in a course that other people can learn, because I think education is the key to spreading good around the world, and good information and all that. So that's sort of where my passion lies at this point. It's in the education side of things. So one of the goals for this place is, my next project is the bathroom here. There's no bathroom here, and I'm about an hour and a half away from most tourists, which is blissful. But if you want tourists to come up, you can't tell them, sorry, there's no toilet. So as soon as the toilet's up, the plan is to have tours, because I often get people DM me on Instagram, or anyone that's visiting that has been watching the YouTube channel. I've had quite a few people come and they just want to look around and see how I've done things, the compost, the worms, all the things. And so that's where I love to share the information about how to do this. That's sort of the side that I sprinkle in the knowledge from permaculture, from what I've learned from biodynamics, from syntropic agroforestry. It's all a bit of a meld of Haleyism.
Oh, great stuff. It's good to have that range of options, which we're trying to showcase here on the podcast. As the different opportunities for PDC. You just don't have to do design. But I like the way you've went and you're learning and you're practicing, so you're building that knowledge and you're sharing it as well, which is a great way to spread the word.
Yeah.
So Thriving with Nature, then you started in 2017. You started the YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
and then how did that develop then?
Well, it's actually the Instagram was the first thing that got started. That was the first piece of material that was born of Thriving with Nature. The YouTube channel was probably in 2000. I think it started then. I think there's some pretty funny in basic journal entries there. But yeah, so what Thriving with Nature has born, it sort of really came into fruition in 2021. I realized that because my big passion is, I think the pandemic taught everyone, it's like, I honestly don't think the pandemic is the last we'll see of some severe changes to the systems and processes of life, right? I feel like with climate change and, whether you believe in climate change or not, when you work very closely with nature, something's changing. And so I was just like, I feel that there's an urgency that the skills of growing your own food or creating personal co-op. So if you love living in the city, but you want to get some good food, creating a personal co-op group of people that are growing food and making sure that you're safe. If there was ever anything that happened again, food prices, food shortages, and just the fact that the nutrients are disappearing from mainstream food is important. And so I wanted to create it. Like, it came from, how do I create so I can just live on the land and enjoy just interacting with nature, but make sure and create a community of people, of like-minded people who want to do the same. Earn an income, because my family lives in Australia. I want to travel still, if that all stays open. So this world, whether we like it or not, you need money. Like, it's a fact. And so how can I, in nature, like, nothing is wasted. Everything works together for the betterment of the system, right? And so how can I create something that will be that? And so that's what there was a lot of thought put into Thriving with Nature. I wanted to create a platform that brings in a lot of people. The actual free community is free. That's the name. The community side is free. It's also got a plant database, because I got sick of having to search 5 different websites just to see how to plant a carrot. I wanted all the information in one section, so I built it. The plant database and a community forum is free. And then I was like, let's build a course library, because this self-sufficiency gig, I've got bees. I want to have chickens and ducks and cows and all those things. I want to learn all of this. So I want to learn how to prune trees. So I want to get the legends around there. I didn't want to spend 40 years trying to be the expert of everything. I'm happy to stay in my lane, but I wanted to find the legends around the world who have a passion in maybe just, this is how you prune trees, and helping them build an online course and adding it to the course library. So those people who want to become self-sufficient, all of a sudden you have a library of experts in their area sharing their wisdom in one area. And then the third level of this whole community platform was, how do I help those people who share their wisdom make sure that they make an online income? So obviously the courses, you can sell the courses, but the third and final level, which will take a little while to get to, is there's a lot of permaculture people who are amazing at what they do, but they just are not sales and marketing people, right? It's not part of their wheelhouse, and they're not interested in it. So how do we help those people still make money just by sharing their wisdom? It's by creating what I call a revenue share sort of platform, in that if you share a certain amount of information into the free community, then you get a revenue share of a monthly membership that goes with the course library. So I wanted to package it so not only will the world get better, because more of us will be able, anyone will be able to survive, but they can grow their food and all those kind of things, but the people will be able to earn an income, that extra income to help them just do what they love, permaculture. And yeah, and then the planet thrives. To me, it's like a win-win-win. There's like free community, course library, and then a self-sufficient online income. So that was sort of the birthplace of Thriving with Nature platform. We're still in the beginning stages, in my opinion, of where it's getting to. We've already got a few courses in there that are very exciting. We've got 2 permaculture courses, an introduction to permaculture by a family permaculture. And then we've got Design Your Land with Permaculture from Eleanor Tordini, who introduced me to you. So her course is in there. So, but there's so much to learn, like we were just saying. There's so many pieces. You might be just fascinated with chickens or bees, and so you could do a course on that. And so that's the long story of the brainchild of Thriving with Nature platform. It's a long-term project, but I'm very passionate about it.
Great stuff. So for our audience then who are aspiring permaculture professionals, they can create a course and put it on the Thriving with Nature platform, and as well as selling courses as well. Eventually, they'll be able to get a share of a monthly revenue for providing free content for memberships, subscriptions. Is that right?
Yeah. It's just like that. So my strength and my wheelhouse is online systems, processes, courses, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm in the process. There's a wait list that people can join to start to learn how to build your audience, how to build your online course so that people actually do the online course. How many courses have you bought and never finished them? You know, those online courses that are still sitting there in the back door.
It tends to be the free ones that don't get done.
Exactly. That's the funny thing. People say you should have it all for free. I'm like, no one values it then. And the wisdom isn't. So there's psychology behind that. But yeah, then there's like, how do you scale and automate your online income with the courses and things? So I have a program that I'm building at the moment that will help people really do that. And yeah, you can add your course to the platform. You can also add your course to other platforms. I'm not exclusive. It's just one of the ways that you can do it.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So I'm going to pick your brain if you don't mind. So
Go for it.
we have a course at the minute, PDC to professional, and we teach basically PDC graduates or people who have traditionally just drawn their permaculture designs. They teach them digital designs. They do digital designs, so using Affinity Designer, so they can produce nice professional designs. We also have a plant database Gilda where you can select like an apple tree, zone 7, and it'll print out a guild for you of
That's
your
awesome.
different support species, and then teaching you how to build a website to get your portfolio online to sort of start your consultancy. And as well, we have a designer's kit for communications. So that's our course, was to help people. So what I found was, like, how do you release this? You mentioned the waiting list. That's one option. Get a waiting list, and once you get enough numbers, I think, is it, then you can and then the other one was just sell the course before you create the content, and then after you sell it, create the content. The other one was get your content up, and then and I haven't even scratched the surface with the amount of options.
Yeah, no, there's so many ways to do it. Totally. It just depends on what's your. I mean, you've almost finished completing the course, right? It's all.
Yeah, we're just at the minute dotting the I's, crossing the T's. So we have the first week up, but we're at a stage now. We have had a few sales, but it's like, right, where do we how do we provide maximum impact? Really, and how do we do that? Do we create a waiting list? Do we say it starts on a certain date? How do we go about making them decisions?
Yeah, there's 2 ways that you could do this. You could go with a launch date, and you can do that in about 10 weeks. You can create a sort of a 10-week launch program. And so what that can do is you can start off with I think having a wait list is great, just for any. Put it on your website, on your socials. That starts to build it. I did that with a modern natural pool course. And we actually put the wait list up, and we was like, when there's enough people, we'll build it. And then we got an interest, so we built it. So it was like, okay, let's build that. So having the wait list while you're doing all these other things is great. And then what you could do is you say, okay, we're launching on the 15th of July, whatever 10 weeks is. What you can do before you even sort of get to there is you can actually do beta testers. So you can say, hey, and this is a great place when you're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. I always say that the wrong way, but I said it the right way. You can say, reach out to your audience that you already have and say, hey, this is limited to 10 people. We're going to give it to you for 50% off. But over the next 6 weeks, we're going to ask you a question a week to get your feedback on what we're building inside the course. And so this is the beta test opportunity to sell is you're going to see if it sells or not. You're going to see if there's actual interest. You're going to have a bit of money in to start. And then those every week, like on a Friday, you could say, okay, hi, everyone. Would you prefer that the course be called this or this? Or, hey, everyone, these are the things that you're going to learn. Is there anything you feel might be missing? Hey, everyone. So those 10 people can be your little beta testers and also just check that those T's are crossed and I's are dotted. And then you start your sort of marketing process. And so you say to them, they don't actually get access until that launch date either, but they're getting it early. They're 50% off just by being the beta feedback, by getting feedback from them. And then what you can do is 30 days out in your socials. This is when you want to start to do something daily that is helpful to your avatar, helpful to the person that you're attracting to. And so information about how to, so for yours is just finished a PDC. Here are the top 4 things you can do to get your website started. There's a post. You want to finish, you just finished a PDC and you want to do this, I've just noticed that Jeff Lawton's just started his PDC, right? So his online PDC. So one really smart thing you could do is find out when that finishes. 30 days out before that finishes, you could start to do your marketing and you could target the people who are doing Jeff Lawton's permaculture design course. It's just something off the top of my head.
So is that do a better one now and then launch for the end of Jeff's? Or do the beta launch for the end of Jeff's?
No, because you only really want 5 to 10 people for your beta launch.
So do the beta now or do the beta?
You can do that now. You've got an audience. You can do that now. And that's helping you make the course better. That's what that is. Helping you make the course better and seeing if it's going to sell.
Yeah.
And then the 30 days out from Jeff Lawton's course finishing, you want to start to promoting just finishing Jeff Lawton's course, or have you just finished a PDC? Don't even have to say Jeff Lawton. How do I make money out of this? Or how do I get a business out of this? All the questions, write down all the questions that those people would have, and start to post that regularly. And then about 10 days out from your launch, you want to do a webinar. And you want to start to promote a webinar, and you probably want to do 3 webinars, all the same webinar, but the webinar is going to be selling this course. And so those 10 days before the cart opens, you actually go in and sell the say the webinar, and then and then you have an open date. This course is, you've got the cart's open for 10 days. I don't think it'll ever be this price again. This is the first time we're launching it. It's probably going to be a lot higher than this next year when we launch it. We don't know. So, and then you have like a 10-day cart open. And so you can do launches like that. I know people who do launches, they get $9 million on a launch from selling an online course. Wow.
I take it that's not a permaculture course.
It wasn't.
So
it was a $2,000 course.
Right.
So still impressive to get $9 million in a $2,000 product.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for that advice. Do you pay consultancies as well as your course?
I do.
So for me, that's having that, because what I struggle with basically, particularly in permaculture, even though I know people in sales and marketing, is having that sit down and to be able to say to someone, so just what do you do? Or I'm doing this. I need some advice. So if anybody's doing that, I would recommend they get in touch then with Hayley.
Yeah, I do strategy calls for sure. I help people sort of with their strategy of like their sales funnels and their processes and automations and things like that.
Great stuff. I'm actually doing a course at the minute, Start Your Permaculture Business course with Jason Thomas. I think you can, it's still $200 if you, in May. The link's in the description. That's an affiliate link. just to be clear. But I'm finding it very good. It's very process driven. He launched his course very similar to what you're saying there. So I'm in the beta testing.
Ah, there you go.
I get in at the beta, and it's great value too if you get in at the beta, because you get it at such a reduced price.
Yeah, exactly.
So definitely a good strategy. Yeah. So, well, we have the plans for the future. So, do you want to tell us about your course as well that you're building, that helps someone build their digital course, and is there a waiting list for that?
Yeah, so there's a wait list for that. So this is going to be a big course bundle. I'm going to be probably putting 3 courses into one. And that's the first is to build your audience, which is sort of what we were just talking about now about, you know, how do you build your audience on social media, on article writing, on YouTube, on podcasts, and then how to make a bit of money just from that kind of thing. And then the next course will be literally how to create a successful online course, because I see so many people that don't beta test or don't test. They go and they build a course that's amazing, but they haven't tested to see whether it'll sell or not. And they put all this energy in and then it never sells, and it's very heartbreaking. I've got a client that I'm helping at the moment that has such an amazing course, but the structure just needs to be shifted just a little bit to make it so people get overwhelmed very quickly. And if it's not clear and clean and clear, they get overwhelmed and it becomes too hard, and then months go by and they just, I never did the course. So helping make sure that your course is a successful one, that the information, that people love it, they become raving testimonials. And then the third sort of course will be the scaling and automating. You know, there's people having 100K months just because, and they spend 2 hours a day just doing a bit of socials and things because they've set up the automation so that the sales just keep coming in. So yeah, there's a wait list for that course. I'll give you the link so you can pop it underneath as well. So yeah, if you're interested, if you're a person that's just like, you know, you've got your permaculture business, but you're like, if I get sick, I can't do some of these things. If I get injured, or if I have to help my parents, or if I have to, you know, life happens. And when you're a permaculture designer, it's up to you. Unless you can build a business where you become the boss of, say, other permaculture people, which is also an option. But if you want to go for the online option of helping share the wisdom, that once you create it, it's like a book. I've written 2 books and I've got online courses, and they're always there. And every now and then I get a little emails like, here's a royalty check, here's this, here's that, you know, and I didn't do anything. I was sleeping because I did that energy and effort before. And so if you can create your legacy of that information that you're passionate about talking about, package it in a beautiful way and just talk to people and just say, hey, you can get the course. Your wisdom and knowledge takes them through, and it's educating them. You can reach thousands, hundreds of thousands of people with your information, and you could be sleeping. So I love that idea of work smart, not work smart, not hard.
Yeah. I remember getting my first couple of sales when I was sleeping. It is a great feeling.
I know. It's like you wake up and you're like, oh, well, that was a very, very lucrative sleep.
But then at the same time, there's 100 hours behind that. There was 100 hours behind that. Getting that.
I know, but
Uh,
it's like that. It's the people that, you go to a specialist, a doctor specialist, and you're like, you were there in the room for 5 minutes and it was $500. And you're like, why did I have to pay $500? I saw them for 5 minutes. You're paying for the 10, 15 years of wisdom and education that they've had so that they can look at you and diagnose you very quickly. It's the same thing, right? So it's putting in the hours and effort. It takes a while. It can take building an online course, depending on whether you're just doing a spotlight course or a full signature type course, can take a few months, maybe 4 to 6 months if you're really going deep. But then for years onwards, you've got it. You know what I mean? So it's not one of those quick get quick rich things. It takes time and effort and energy, and you have to. Some people I speak to, they just sitting in front of a camera is excruciating for them. So it's not easy, but it's so well worth it because of the wisdom that you're getting to share.
yeah, no, that's great. Camera. Once I get started, the first couple of podcasts, I was grand. Then I think it's what did they say? Eating the elephant, or is
Oh
it
yeah,
something like that?
I
Eat the
didn't eat an
frog.
elephant
Eat the.
one bite at a time.
It's just you have to do it. You have to get through it, and then editing yourself, listening to your own voice as well. It was cringy at the start, but then it's as soon you just get used to it.
Yeah.
So that's great. So it's something I'll definitely do. So the types of courses you're looking for is self-sufficiency courses.
Look, it's
Is
anything and
anything?
everything, everything to grow. Like right now, my course is in there, which is Grow Your Own Food, a self-sufficiency starter course. So that's for people who just have been plant killers before and just want to start the process. Then, like I said, we've got Introduction to Permaculture. We've got Design Your Land with Permaculture. We have a modern natural pool. It is like the most divine pool you'll ever get in, but how to build a modern natural pool without mud. It's the sexiest pool ever. So that course is in there. So it's like, it could be specifically about guilds. It could be specifically about waterways, like how to do water on your land. It could be, those are the type of spotlight courses. Like I said, how to graft, or how to fruit trees, how to manage fruit trees, or a food forest, or it could be just an element, or it could be, a full PDC, like Jeff Lawton's doing one. His course is obviously a live. He runs through it he does it once a year, I think, and then he has everyone online at the same time. Or you can create an evergreen course that anyone can do at any time. And it's just you teaching. So there's self-sufficiency, regenerative agriculture, syntropic agroforestry, permaculture, all elements of permaculture. You could be just teaching about one of the principles. You could be, there's so many areas you could talk about the philosophy of permaculture. You could be, social we were talking about social permaculture. You could do a course on permaculture as a social experiment. The sky really is the limit, but my boundary, or if it's thriving with nature. It's how do you create a modern life that's thriving with nature. I'll also be looking for people how do you put solar in your land? What about rain power, wind power? Anything that you can do to create a life that's thriving with nature.
That's great. I'll definitely work. I have a few ideas there. I might create a course myself. I'm doing a workshop. I'm doing a workshop now in a couple of months with Guest Sonono. So he wrote the book Raising Permaculture Chickens.
Oh, awesome.
So he's going to do we're doing like a day workshop where in the morning he's going to go for permaculture chickens, and then I'm going to go for composting in the afternoon, how you compost the waste.
Oh, perfect. That's
So
awesome. See, an online course like that, oh my gosh, I definitely want a chicken egg course in the library. And
so I'm sure guess your man for the chicken course. And
sounds good if he's up for it.
I love the composting. So going to show the different types of urban composting and then how you combine them all at the end. Hayley, any final thoughts or advice for anybody or anything we didn't cover?
So I just, the sky's the limit in what you can do once you learn the world of permaculture. And if you want to create a business doing that, there's, like you said, yes, you could become a permaculture designer, which is the most obvious and process that people think, but there's definitely other ways to, find which part of permaculture you love, and then find a way to share that with people, whether that's through an online course, whether that's through workshops, whether it's through, creating products that help that particular element of permaculture. There's so many different ways. You've just got to crack open the mind and think sideways for a second. And your life, you'll never work another day in your life if you get to do the thing that you love. That's what I say.
Yeah, I love that piece of advice. That's what I'm aiming for anyway. Hayley, it's been really good. A lot of value for the audience. I'll leave the link for that waiting list in the description. And as well, I'll leave another link for the PDCD Pro waitlist. So if you want to get on the beta course, drop us a line, and we'll get that up and running in the next few weeks. I'm just going to follow your advice, and we can feedback.
Definitely get on the beta list right now, because that's the best way. You're going to create an amazing product. You obviously care about what you do, Cormac, because you wouldn't be talking about this stuff otherwise. And so that course is going to be so valuable. So if you're even interested, get on the beta list, because you're going to get a good deal and be part of the creation process.
Yeah, even better, and get no more permaculture professionals. Hayley, thank you very much. Really good, a lot of value there, and thanks very much. And for our listeners, thank you, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Thanks.